Hi guys, welcome if you're new or welcome back to my channel. My name is Cass and I'm so happy that you clicked on this video. Today we are going to be going through book suggestions with I'm a Showgirl vibes, okay? I am a Swiftie. I have a 10-year-old who's a major Swiftie. And so we went to the midnight release at Target and got the exclusive special edition. And we have been listening to the album nonstop. So I love to make playlists or like relate books to songs, but I thought it would be fun to do kind of the reverse and take this album and recommend books based off of the songs. So I thought that's what we would do today with this record. Let's get into it. The first song is probably the one that everyone is the most familiar with because it's her first single release. It is The Fate of Ophelia. I don't want to get copyrighted here, so I'm not going to play it, but you can hear it pretty much anywhere you want to hear it. But I went through the lyrics, and the first thing that caught my attention is the very first verse, which says, "I heard you calling on the megaphone. You want to see me all alone." We know the song is about Travis, like using his podcast to get her attention, right? But immediately I thought of the book Play Along by Liz Tomfordy. I want to say Liz Tom Ford, but on the audiobooks it says Liz Tomfordy. I don't know. If anyone knows how to properly pronounce her last name, let me know in the comments. But anyways, Play Along is the fourth book in the Windy City series. And even though I'm not a huge contemporary romance reader, I actually really enjoyed that series. And I really loved Play Along. In fact, I think Play Along is my favorite book out of all of them. So in the fourth book, we have Isaiah and Kennedy, and they have shown up in some of the other books before we get to that point. Isaiah is he's boisterous and playful and charming. So this is a sports romance. Kennedy is like a sports therapist. And so she's always working on the athletes after their games or if they get injured or whatever. And so Isaiah has had a major crush on Kennedy forever. And it's like not a secret. Everybody knows because he's always like making passes at her, flirting with her. Well, in this book, we finally get to a situation where they need a marriage of convenience. I love this book for so many reasons. I love the characters. I love both of them. I really enjoyed getting to know Isaiah's background story and the ending, you guys. The ending, I was really enjoying it. It was like a 4.5 for me the whole time. And then the ending, like the epilogue, 5 stars, man. It just tipped me over the edge to 5 stars. So highly recommend that one. And of course, that just made me think of this song and Travis Kelce because, you know, Isaiah's always like on his megaphone, like Kennedy, not hiding his feelings, right? He's putting it all out there. And then the other part that stood out to me about that song, a little bit different vibes, but later on, we're coming off of the chorus and it says, "And if you'd never come for me, I might have lingered in purgatory. You wrap around me like a chain, a crown, a vine, pulling me into the fire. All that time I sat alone in my tower. You were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. Late one night you dug me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia." So this part of the song immediately thought of ACOMAF. So if you're a Sarah J. Maas fan or you've read ACOTAR, ACOMAF is a court of mist and fury. I really don't want to give away spoilers, you guys. If you guys haven't read it, I don't want to give away spoilers because it's not the first book. But if you know, you know. Okay, our main character, Farah, in a tower, she's in purgatory and someone helps her get out of purgatory. And that is all I'm going to say, okay? So if you know, you know. You've read it, you'll understand the reference to our main character. If you haven't, and that vibe sounds like appealing to you, that part of the song that I just went through, then definitely recommend reading ACOTAR. And when you get to ACOMAF, you'll probably understand the reference in that song. Okay? I'm going to just try to mention 1 to 3 books for each one. I'm not going to go too crazy. Some of them I could list 20 books, but I won't. So the next song is Elizabeth Taylor. Okay, so Elizabeth Taylor is basically another Taylor, right? Taylor Swift is doing an ode to Elizabeth Taylor, who was also a very famous actress who was a major celebrity, very well known in her time, very well known for her fashion and her glam, and oh, the gossip. She was always in the papers, always being followed by paparazzi. Like, she basically, in her prime, didn't have any privacy. And so this song is saying, hey, Elizabeth Taylor, is this how it's always going to be? Like, will I ever have privacy again? Will anything ever be personally mine without people getting into my business or having something to say about every single thing that I do? So I immediately had two thoughts with this song. And both of them are series, okay? But you could just read the first book and you can see what you think. The first book or series that I thought of when I was listening to this song is the Plated Prisoner series. The Plated Prisoner series is marketed as like a King Midas retelling. And it is for like the first couple of books, but it is a 6-book series. And the entire book series is not about King Midas. It's actually about his prisoner who is completely made of gold. This is not a spoiler. This is the very beginning of the series, the very first book. He is keeping this prisoner that is made of gold in a gilded cage, and he basically is using her to show off. Everybody in the kingdom knows about her. Like, she's famous. Even though she's stuck in this cage, everybody knows that she exists because she is this unique, beautiful creature that everyone is fascinated with. And people come and do business with King Midas, you know, in the hopes of getting to meet her or getting to see her. As you can imagine, she doesn't stay in the cage, but that would be a really boring series of 6 books if she is just in a cage the entire time. So I don't really feel like this is a spoiler, but once she gets out of the cage, because she's so well known and because she's made of gold, I mean, she's shiny. Like, she can't go anywhere without someone noticing her, and she's known everywhere she goes, even though she doesn't know everybody. It affects everything she does. Her life is always, at risk. She's a celebrity for her time. So I immediately thought of the Plated Prisoner series, which I just barely read this year, and I really enjoyed it. Like, overall, I would say that's like a 4.5 star series for me. Overall, I actually enjoyed it way more than I expected to. I had so many people recommending it that I trust, and I'm so glad I picked it up because it was really, really good. The second book or series that I want to recommend is the Magnolia Parks universe. Magnolia Parks, she's basically a celebrity. She is talk of the town. She's on the front page of all the gossip columns. Everybody is following Magnolia Parks. Her character kind of comes off as like a modern day Marilyn Monroe, like just this fashionable, sexy, confident, high society woman that everybody basically drools over, boys and girls. And I love Magnolia Parks. Another series that completely shocked me. But yeah, Magnolia Parks, first of all, everyone's in her business. She is very high profile. But she also says, can't have fun if I can't have you. If that is not the epitome of that entire series, like, I feel like that one line sums up the entire series. So if this sounds good to you and you haven't read those books, I recommend picking them up. Even if you don't continue with this series, you can definitely read the first book in each series, and it's very enjoyable, but I think you will want to continue. So yeah, when I read these lyrics, I 100% could envision Magnolia Parks singing this. Like, it's spot on for her. So, okay, so song number 3 is Opalite. Opalite is a man-made opal, and if you've seen any of the interviews with Taylor Swift, you will see that the reference that she wanted to make with that song is that you can make your own happiness just like men can make opalite. We are in charge of our own happiness, and sometimes we have to make it for ourselves. So immediately I thought of Happy Place by Emily Henry. Again, I don't want to give away any spoilers, and sometimes the reason why I relate a book to a song might be spoilery. So I'm not going to share that, but Happy Place is about a group of friends who gets together every year for summer in their happy place. They all gather at this cabin together, or this like beach house. 2 of them have been together for a very long time. They were engaged and they broke up, but in order to just not make things awkward at the summer gathering with all of their friends, they decide to just pretend like they're still together. And so the book follows this couple and their group of friends as they're navigating kind of this breakup, and also how that's going to affect their group, because they have this really tight-knit friendship group. What I will say is that by the end of the book, our characters have learned how to make their own opalite. And That's all I'll say. Okay. I feel like the message from this song is the same as the message that I get from that book, which is you have to choose your own happiness. You are in charge of your own happiness. No one else is in charge of making you happy. You have to take care of yourself and be right with yourself and make yourself happy before you can be happy in a relationship. If you can't be happy on your own, you are not going to be happier in a relationship. I feel like that is the message of that book, and it goes perfectly with this song that she wrote. So Happy Place definitely gives opalite energy, in my opinion. And the other book that I thought of is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I just read this book very recently, like at the end of the summer, I think. I really, really liked it. I didn't really hear that many great reviews about it, but I ended up really loving it. The premise of the book is that this summer she's going to fly to Prince Edward Island and meet up with her best friend who goes home for the summer and spends all summer on the island. And she's going to go meet up with her, and they're going to have a great summer vacation while she's there visiting. And she basically says, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing. Just promise me that you will not date my brother. I have a brother. He's going to be there. Please he's off limits. You cannot date him or fall for him. So that is the only rule. And when she gets there, she immediately has a meet cute with her best friend's brother, but she doesn't know it's her best friend's brother. So they strike up a little situationship before they both realize that she's the best friend and he's the brother. So they immediately vow that it will never happen again, that it will be a secret. But of course, it doesn't stick. They still are attracted to each other and start to develop feelings for each other. So that makes things really complicated. And we are following our characters as that unfolds, and we are actually following them over a pretty long period of time, over several years, several seasons. So again, this book, though a romance, is very focused on finding your own personal happiness and how you show up in relationships, and how you have to you can't rely on your partner or your best friend or anybody else to make you happy, that you have to find your own happiness, even when things are tough. You have to push through, and you have to find your happiness. You have to choose it, and you have to work for it. And I feel like that book totally encompasses that concept. So those are the two books that I would recommend for opalite. Okay, the next song is Father Figure, which from what I understand is a remake of a George Michael song. And to be fair, I haven't listened to it. I don't know if it's exactly the same or a little bit different. I don't know if it's just inspiration drawn from it, but I think it accounts for why some of the pronouns don't quite fit what I would expect. Anyways, nonetheless, the song is basically about a mentor and their protege, and the mentor betraying the protege, and the protege basically fighting back and becoming better because of it. So essentially, I think this song is an FU to Scott Borchetta, who was the original owner of the record label when Taylor signed on. And without giving her a chance to buy her music and without her approval, he sold the company and the rights to her albums to someone else. Hence the whole, losing the masters to her albums, having to re-record and remake her music. And, at this point, we know that she's worked her butt off and she was able to get her masters back. So she's a badass. But this definitely made me think of a few books where the protege is betrayed by their mentor, and the protege ends up kicking ass in spite of their mentor and becoming better because of it. So a few books that I thought of. The first one is From the Throne of Glass, and it is obviously a series. If you're new here, Throne of Glass is my favorite series of all time. I love that series so much, and it is quite long, but it's 100% worth it. It's just the best. I have read it and reread the entire series, and I plan to reread it again. It's fabulous. But one of our characters who shows up later in the series, her name is Manon Blackbeak. Let's see, so the fifth book, Queen of Shadows, I believe, is when Manon decides to go against her grandmother and her clan the witch clan that she's a part of. And the story and her development kind of grows from there for the rest of the series. But it's definitely that kind of breaking away from the mentor who doesn't really have your best interests at heart, kind of has their own selfish motives, and you've kind of blindly trusted and followed them and got bit in the butt because of it. So, love Manon. I know she's a lot of people's favorite character in that series. The other book or series that I thought of was the Bone Witch trilogy, which I recently read and really, really enjoyed. I will be sharing more of that in my wrap up. But essentially, we are following a young girl who has powers, and when they manifest, she gets sent away. She accidentally resurrects her brother. That's how her powers first manifest. Her brother dies and they're at his funeral. Her powers kick in and she resurrects her brother. So her brother and her get sent away from the village to get away from the drama and the gossip of it, and for her to learn how to use her powers. It's a very complex world. It's a complex story. I highly recommend the trilogy, but we follow this girl over multiple years, watch her grow and develop. There's a lot of betrayal in that series. But despite all of the ways that she is shunned and ostracized and betrayed, she ultimately kicks butt. Without giving away spoilers, that's about all I can say. But if you like the vibes of father figure, I think you will like the Bone Witch trilogy. And then finally, Fourth Wing. Violet is totally betrayed by her mother. Her mother is the general. Her mother is her mentor, whatever, but betrays her. Her mother, yanks her from the scribe quadrant that she's prepared for her entire life, throws her into this dangerous situation, and she ends up being a badass. I won't say anything else so that I don't give away spoilers, but it's definitely another of that father figure, but here it's more mother figure vibes for you. So those would be my suggestions for that song. Okay, the next song is Eldest Daughter. If that doesn't resonate with me, I don't know what would. I am definitely an eldest daughter. So much about this song completely resonates with me. And even the part of feeling like I don't know how to be cool or how to fit in, that never came totally naturally to me. Okay, probably because I'm neurodivergent, but there's just so much about that song that resonates. And the books that I thought of when I was listening to this song is, the first one is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. And Samantha, our main character in that book, she is definitely the older sister energy. She is the one who takes care of everything, does everything for her family, wants to make sure everything is taken care of. And, right at the very beginning of the book, she's moving out of her apartment and going to move home so that she can help take care of her family because her mom has dementia and is going downhill. And basically, the rest of the book is mad oldest daughter energy. So I highly recommend that book. It is a romance, but it's deep. It's a deep emotional romance it's more of a fiction with a subplot of romance, but the romance is, there. It's really good. If you know Abby Jimenez, it's a typical Abby Jimenez book. Okay, so that's the first book I thought of. The second book I thought of, again, we're going to go back to the Windy City series, and it's Rewind It Back, which is the fifth and final book in the series. We are following Rio and his first love, who is the main female character. She's also got mad oldest daughter energy. The fact that she is the oldest daughter and the role that she plays in her family has a lot to do with their past relationship, because this is a second chance romance. So they were together, they broke up, and now we're following them running into each other again and unearthing a lot of the past. So her role as the oldest daughter, and also her not feeling cool. This is definitely eldest daughter song, okay? Taking care of everyone, but also feeling kind of uncool, she doesn't quite fit in. And that has a lot to do with their relationship as teenagers. And then as adults, in the second chance that they have with each other, a major element of their relationship is the fact that she is the oldest daughter, the daughter in the family who is trying to take care of everything and feels responsible for everything that is happening in her family, in her life, and is struggling because of it. And it's because of those struggles that Rio and her cross paths again. So that book, 100% eldest daughter. The next song on the album is Ruin the Friendship. And this song is, I think this song is kind of a throwback to a male friend that Taylor had in like high school, who she always maybe had feelings for, always kind of wondered if they could be a thing. And she never confessed her feelings. And then after high school, he ended up passing away. This really happened. And just kind of like always wondering what would have happened if you had the chance to ruin the friendship. Okay, sorry, my cats are like making so much noise at the door. They want to come in. They'll just get into everything. It will make this much more complicated than it needs to be. So anyway, let's go back to Ruin the Friendship. So basically, Ruin the Friendship is a song about regrets. It's a song about having a best friend that you develop feelings for, but you never share it because you don't want to ruin the friendship. You know, in Taylor's case, he passed away unexpectedly and she never got to tell him how she felt, if things could have been different, if she would have, shared her feelings. The song is, I think, a tribute to that friendship, but also just a reminder to everyone to ruin the friendship. Like, just seize the day, go for it, share your feelings, kiss your best friend, ruin the friendship so that you don't have to live with regrets or wondering for the rest of your life. So, best friends to lovers is one of my favorite tropes. So, I admittedly have a lot of books that I could share with you guys. So, this is probably our longest list, but I'm still going to try to keep it short. So first of all, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. It's called something else in the UK. It's like You and Me on Vacation or something like that. It's the same book, just different title. So this book is a friends to lovers trope. It's about a couple of best friends, a guy and a girl, who travel together every year. We follow their adventures and how their relationship and feelings progress and kind of what happens. I'm not going to give away spoilers again, but that book definitely has Ruin the Friendship vibes. And then the next one that I thought of is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is a book that we're following a dual timeline, and it's a boy and a girl who are friends like in high school or middle school. They end up next to each other at their summer homes, and then they go home and go to school all year round, and then every summer they meet up and they spend the summer together because their families have homes right next to each other. They develop a really close friendship and there's feelings, and it gets, messy and complicated and things happen, and then they go their separate ways, and now they're adults and they've met back up and they're exploring like what happened and if they have any regrets. So definitely a Ruin the Friendship type of book. I narrowed it down to 3, just so this doesn't get too long. The third one that I'll recommend is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is about a boy and a girl who live next door to each other. They were friends as children, but as they get into like their middle school and high school, like teenage years, they kind of become like frenemies. And there's like this kind of rivalry going on, and they're just not close anymore. And they fight over a parking spot in front of their homes. And now there's a situation where they need to engage with one another for it's like a relationship of convenience. And they're starting to explore what happened in their friendship and why they aren't friends anymore. And if there's maybe something more than friendship there between them. It's definitely that Ruin the Friendship vibes. Okay. The next song is Actually Romantic, and even though it says Actually Romantic, it's not a romantic song. It's actually a very sarcastic song about sabotage. So it's about someone who puts so much effort into hating you or sabotaging you that it's actually romantic. Like they put in so much effort and that it's kind of laughable. Okay, so whether that's like an ex-boyfriend or an ex-friend or like even someone you don't even know, or like maybe your ex-boyfriend's girlfriend or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that it's not about romance, it's about sabotage. Okay, so the first book that I thought of, probably because I've read it recently, is The Witch's Tree by Elena Collins. I talked about it in some of my reading vlogs, but highly recommend that book. That is a very good book. I'm still thinking about it a few weeks later. So The Witch's Tree, we are following a dual timeline. We've got a present timeline, and then we have a past timeline that is occurring during the time of witch hunts. We're following 2 women in each timeline, and they have a connection, and their connection is the house where they both lived. So without giving away specifics, because it would be extremely spoilery, I will just say, probably any kind of book about the witch hunts is going to fit this song of Actually Romantic, because the witch hunts were crazy and people went through so much effort and made such wild claims to accuse people of being witches that if it wasn't so sad because innocent people died, it would be laughable. And in this case, there is major sabotage happening. Like in our past timeline, there is an element of sabotage and betrayal that is so deep and so shocking that, I don't know, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I finished that book. So when you read it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And the other book is going to be ACOTAR. And you can read this one. It's book number 1 in the series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I immediately thought of Farah and again, I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but Farah is our main character and she ends up in a fae world and there's all kinds of sabotage happening because a lot of people don't want her there in that world. And there's one person in particular who is just making life hard, putting in a lot of effort to sabotage Farah and to make her life difficult there. So it's actually romantic. How much effort? That's all I will say on that point. The next song on the album is Wishlist. Guys, this is my favorite song on the album. I love it. Actually, I'm starting to, every time I hear a song now, I'm like, oh, but I actually really love this song. Oh, I actually really love this song. I'm enjoying the album more and more every time I listen to it. But from the get-go, I loved Wishlist. I love it. She is just finally like so happy. It kind of goes back to like the Elizabeth Taylor vibes. Some of those books would probably overlap because she's basically saying, I'm famous. I am surrounded by celebrities who have these really fancy lives and I can have that fancy life too. All of my fans, they have big dreams and big wishes, but all I really want is you and to have kind of like a normal life and live in a home and start a family. So again, I could recommend Magnolia Park series. Does the Plated Prisoner series fit that? Yeah, I would say so. I would say the Plated Prisoner series fits that in a different way. Like all she's ever wanted is to be seen and loved for who she is. Like all she's ever wanted was to be able to be loved like other people in the world. Instead of like a pet in a cage who's just like ogled at and considered like a possession. She wants to be seen and loved as a person. So I would say that also works for this song. The other book that I thought of is, so first of all, I haven't read this. It's a book. I've watched the show. So I'm just throwing this in here as a bonus. But The Idea of You, I think, falls into this category. It's basically a normal everyday mom who falls in love with a guy who's in like one of the most famous boy bands. And there's an age gap thing happening too, but there's also this dynamic of a celebrity and like a normal person and falling in love, but they're leading two completely different types of lives and how that affects their relationship. If the book is anything like the movie, then it definitely falls into this category. But the books that I have read that I would put on this list is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. I love her. I love every book she's written. She's one of my favorite contemporary romance writers, her and Abby. And Nora Goes Off Script is about a woman who is going through a divorce. She writes scripts for movies, and she's written this romance movie, and they decide they're going to film it at her home, like use her property, the setting. The main male character is this like really famous, hot, sexy actor. They strike up a friendship with romantic feelings throughout the process. But there's definitely that question of like, he's a celebrity, he's young, he's got all of these things to accomplish. She's a divorced mom with a home and a custody arrangement. And can they actually have each other? Can they be together? And then the other book I thought of was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. It's a really good contemporary romance where this famous actor, again, is going home to visit his family because his mom is sick. He's had an issue with like stalkers and like threats on his life, so he needs a bodyguard. But he doesn't want to freak his parents out or make them feel unsafe. He requests a female bodyguard that he can pass off as like a girlfriend. So this woman is this like badass strong, buff, like a bodyguard who can kick butt. And she's posing as his girlfriend while he's home visiting his family so that she can protect him, but she also has to pretend to be his girlfriend. And so it's a little bit of like a relationship of convenience. And of course, real feelings, develop. But she lives a private, normal life, and he is famous and obviously a very big celebrity, navigating kind of that difference and not really caring about the circumstances, but just wanting to be with each other. Because like the line that stands out to me in this song is, "I just want you." Like, I don't care about all these other things. I just want you. And I feel like that is the theme of both of those books. Okay, the next one is the most controversial song, I think, on the album, and it's Wood. And if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. Definitely has some innuendos in there. I love it. It's fantastic. It's an upbeat song, and I'm really proud of her for releasing this song. But my picks for this song are coming at it from different directions. So the first book on the list is Part of Your World, which is the first book in the Part of Your World trilogy by Abby Jimenez. Those are interconnected standalones, but I recommend reading them in order for like the best impact. The relationship between this song and this book really just relates to a specific part of the book, but I just can't help it because I love this part of the book so much. It is one of the funniest scenes I've ever read in a book. I was like hyperventilating laughing. The main character, he's kind of been out of the dating scene. He's kind of like not really sure how to do it, but he is trying to date in modern times, and he wants to send a pic, okay? But he has no idea how to take one. He's like asking his best friend how to take, and it is the funniest. Oh my gosh, it's the best scene. You have to read the book. It's worth it overall, but just for that part, you have to read the book. I just can't think of another time that I've laughed so hard. Some of the funniest moments where I've laughed have been in Abby Jimenez books. Her comedic timing, chef's kiss. But anyways, so that was one of the first books I thought of when I was listening to Wood. And then I thought, okay, just like spicy books. I mean, she's just putting it out there, okay? Like spicy books, but like where they love each other because it's love that opened her thighs, okay? So I am not a huge spice reader, okay? I'll read it. I don't mind it if it's like in context, if it furthers the relationship. I have nothing against you doing you, but I just don't read a lot of spicy books, and I don't read smut. Smut being like spice for spice sakes. Okay, but every once in a while I find myself in a book that has just, I'm like, whoa, all the spice. One such book was Neon Gods. I thought I would try it out because I was like in a slump. And Neon Gods is a Hades and Persephone like retelling. Woo, it is spicy. It was out of my comfort zone. But if you're looking for the spice, she's got you. Neon Gods, go check it out. I think she has like kind of a series. It's Neon Gods. It's a bunch of like mythological retellings. I have not read any of the other ones, but from what I know, they are also equally as spicy. So if you just want like the vibes of that song, just a really like spicy, it's getting hot in here type of book, she's your gal. I would definitely recommend checking out that line of books. The other type of book I thought of relating to this song, because the other part of that song is just all of the like superstitions about life and love, like I don't gotta knock on wood, like the throwing of a bouquet at a wedding. Like in the song, she's addressing all of these like superstitions that are part of our culture that don't hold a lot of weight in our culture anymore, but they are just very fun and superstitious. And so I was thinking of books where there's like a lot of superstition or it's based on like signs. And it made me think of The Night and the Moth. And The Night and the Moth is the newest release by Rachel Gillig. The entire book really is like a prophecy on signs, fate, and lore. So that book just gives off like major superstitious type of energy, not necessarily the spice part of it, but the superstitious part of it. So it is an adult book. I think there might be like a tiny bit of spice in there. I honestly can't remember. But if you do remember, put it down in the comments for everybody else. Anyway, the next song on her album is Cancelled. And in this song, she is talking about how it's a rough world for women. It's a rough world for like celebrities because of social media and everybody's in everybody's business and cancel culture. It's so easy to attract haters. Like there's just so much hate out there. It's crazy. We won't go off on that tangent right now, but she's basically saying, I like my friends canceled. I like when they're standing up for themselves and they're setting boundaries and they're doing things that women aren't supposed to do and they are, you know, getting canceled because of it. And so basically, I was just thinking about badass women. So basically, when I'm listening to this song, I'm pretty much envisioning my girlfriends who are all badass, and I can't help but think about Throne of Glass again. Yes, it's my favorite series, and one of the reasons it's my favorite series is because it is full of amazing women and women doing amazing things. Plus, it's written so well. I mean, it's just phenomenal, and I highly recommend. But when I think of that series, I think of Selena Sardouthian, Manon Blackbeak, Lysandra, Elide, Evangeline, Nehemia. Like, I just picture all of the women from Throne of Glass, like, walking out of, like, a cloud of dust, just, like, after they just won a war. That's what I picture when I hear this song. So number 1, I would recommend Throne of Glass series. But that is an 8-book series. So I have a couple of other suggestions for you. The first one is The Change by Kirsten Miller. Love this book. It is like a modern day kind of witchy tale. And we are following 3 different women. They have all different backgrounds. But the thing that they have in common is that they are all being judged by society for one reason or another. And a set of circumstances brings them together and we kind of follow the plot line from there. But it's definitely about women being canceled in society and all the things that women are judged for. And again, it showcases like female empowerment, like girl power, badass women doing amazing things, making a difference in the world. And so definitely a book I would associate with the canceled vibe. Okay. Another book I would recommend is The Giver of Stars. Love that book. I've talked about it on my channel before. It's partially where the name of my channel comes from. It's by Jojo Moyes, and it is a historical fiction. We're following a set of women who have been hired in Kentucky to ride horseback. And this is based on a true story, like on real women and a real program. But it's a library program that was started by Eleanor Roosevelt. And these women would ride on horseback by themselves. They each had their route, like a paper route, but they would deliver books to families and like underprivileged homes all throughout like the backcountry of the Appalachian Mountains. And they would teach them how to read and try to educate them because they were usually very poor, underprivileged families. These women did this day in and day out through crazy weather, through threats of men, through threats of animals, like accidents, like so many hard things that they had to face. And they persevered. And I just think they were really incredible. And at the time, it was still pretty taboo for women to be so educated and for women to be reading so much. And so all of it was really pushing the boundaries of the time and the norm of the female image doing this work. So definitely the canceled vibe. Again, we're almost done, you guys. Taylor's sticking with her numerology. We've got 12 songs on her 12th album. So we're on number 11. Number 11 is Honey. It's basically Taylor Swift saying, Travis can call me honey because he actually loves me and cares about me and listens to me and has a genuine interest in me. But other people cannot call me honey because they usually mean it in like a demeaning way, as a way to like put me down or use it as kind of a derogatory like pet name. But he's basically like, he's reclaimed it as a term of endearment. And so it makes me think of books where there's nicknames, where there's really strong characters, especially women, because I think it's more so an issue with women who are like, hey, sweetheart, hey, baby, whatever, like strangers in public who don't even know you will use pet names, okay? And so it made me think of strong, badass women. Are you noticing a theme here? I love books with like strong female characters who would normally not let a man use a term of endearment with them. But in the case of whatever book I'm mentioning, he's the exception. Okay. So again, Throne of Glass, but in the very final book, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but hello, Witchling. Hello, Princeling. I mean, that's just pure honey vibes. Okay. And of course, there's also the pet name that Rowan has for Aelin, which is Fireheart, and that shows up in multiple books like throughout the series. So yeah, so I love the idea of these strong women when they find the right man can be vulnerable, which also describes Taylor and Travis, right? So another example is in Serpent and the Wings of Night in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. We have a dynamic of vampires and humans. There's a romantic dynamic between a vampire and a human, and he calls her my little human. So that's like another term of endearment that I thought of. And then, of course, one that I think many of us know, in Fourth Wing, we have Violet Sorrengail, who, you know, Xaden calls her Violence. And honestly, at first, it's like a mocking term almost of her, but it eventually becomes a term of endearment. And, you know, Violet won't let anyone like baby her or mock her. She's feisty and fierce, but eventually she also becomes vulnerable for the right person in the right circumstances. So those are my honey suggestions. And that brings us to the 12th song on the album, which is Life of a Showgirl, also the title of the album. And I have two recommendations for this one. Immediately, like the very first book that I associated with this album was, just because of the overall vibe of it, the Showgirl vibe, is City of Girls. I think it would be considered a historical fiction, if not just a general fiction. It's not quite modern times, but it's not that long ago. I can't remember what decade, like I can't remember when it takes place. And it does go over several years. It's following female characters in New York City who are showgirls as they're trying to survive as artists, as showgirls, and kind of chronicling their lives and what they go through on and off stage. Definitely reminds me of that song. There is also an element of like the mentor and mentee, like the mentor and protege aspect present in the song as well that Taylor is singing. She's talking about someone that she looked up to who inspired her, and now she's also giving advice to like Sabrina Carpenter, who's coming up after her, who's just kind of really coming into the limelight and into the level of fame that Taylor has dealt with. So I just think that book perfectly fits that vibe. But I also wanted to share a memoir. So this is a nonfiction, but it's a memoir called The Storyteller by Dave Grohl. He is a musician, a famous musician, and he was in the band Nirvana. In his memoir, he talks about what it's like to be show guy, like what it's like to be an artist, a celebrity, to be what the life of being on the road, being an artist, trying to survive, trying to make a name for yourself, what it's like to become famous. Even though it's from a male perspective, it also definitely had like the showgirl or the celebrity vibes of the song. And I thought it was a really fantastic memoir. So I just wanted to also recommend it because it has the same vibes. Okay, you guys, those are the 12 songs from the new album, The Life of a Showgirl. Let me know below in the comments, what is your favorite song of the album? And is there a book out of the recommendations that I made that you plan to pick up? Again, make sure you subscribe if you're new. We would love for you to stick around and be a part of our little coven. We have so much fun talking about all things books. If you're still here and you don't know what to say, why don't you leave me a crown emoji, right? Because Taylor is queen and definitely like queen showgirl energy here. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.